All right. What is going on, YouTube? Bruised here again. We're back and with a very weird build. Probably like one of the weirdest, like kind of more niche attacks that I've ever really tried to make a build with. I was interested in this skill like forever ago when it was first kind of really shown, but it always just seemed really awkward with like how the cooldowns interact and how everything like works with it. But with the transfigured version and with some of the runecrafts this league, I decided I really wanted to give it an actual shot and try to figure this skill out and make a build around it. So this is a Frozen Legion build. Frozen Legion of Rallying specifically is the one that gives you more cooldown recovery rate. And if you're wondering what that skill even looks like or what it is, here it is. It's that. So it has two parts. One part is that it's a spell, and the other part is that it's an attack. And the only thing that matters for the spell is cast speed. None of the increases or reductions to spell damage, anything like that, none of that applies to the attack. None of that applies. So you're still scaling it as an attack, but you are casting a spell, which means that a lot of things that you would usually go for as an attack build, like Rage or Fortify on hit or anything like that, don't apply. Because you aren't dealing the damage, the statues are dealing the damage. You are summoning the statues to perform the skill for you, and they are dealing the damage. It does also mean, though, that you can do reflect maps completely fine. Like Uber at Zirian stuff, you're completely fine doing that because you aren't dealing the damage, the statues are. So as long as you don't kill anything with like Frostblink or Leap Slam or anything, then you actually are completely immune to all that kind of stuff. So this has been a really weird character to kind of put together. As you can see, we're only level 91, Throat Goat, just because the name stuck, and we're the Templar. God, they have a long neck. Anyway, so level 91, you can see that's all that I really decided to really kind of go with it. I threw so much currency at this character. Like, I definitely would say, even like here at the start, it's probably not worth running this build. It's so expensive the way that I threw this together, and I would just say don't run Frozen Legion. Literally just do, well, something I was thinking about as like similar that you could do with a very similar setup that I have. You'd want to scale attack speed some more. But you could do something very similar where you still use the weapon and still use this kind of setup, but you do like General's Cry with like Volcanic Fissure of Snaking or something instead, or just some other like cool attack. And I think that would be better. You probably replace Rallycash with Corpse Walkers, or you just put out Desecrate and Rallying Cry, or General's Cry as you do it. But yeah, and with that, I just wanted to show off. I'm gonna show off mapping because I feel like it kind of showcases a little bit more why I'm like hesitant to show this character off. It like damage is actually pretty damn good, and survivability is pretty okay as well. But it's awkward to kind of get used to positioning yourself. It's awkward to kind of set things up. So I would say it's definitely not a skill that I would recommend for a lot of people to like really try, honestly. But I still wanted to make a video about it because I still thought the character was at least like interesting, and it's a build that I had never done before, and I don't really see a ton of people like doing anything with it, probably for the obvious reason of it's kind of awkward to use. But there are some really cool runecrafts this league, and I figured any like instance to be able to show it off is really good. But I have put, again, way too much money into this character. This character is like I think a 50 divine character at this point. I think this is a 50, 60 divine character maybe. And realistically, my tornado character that I have a video for is just way stronger than this dude. And maybe not way stronger. Maybe way stronger is a bit too extreme, but at least like certainly sizably stronger and faster. And didn't cost me 60 divines to throw together. So this is definitely a bit of a meme to like really put together. I got absolutely shredded still. See, that's like something that's kind of awkward about the build too, is again, we're all charges here. We're using charges. So the recovery speed is really fast. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're back. And so it's pretty fast so you get your charges back, especially with the increased recovery speed that we get from the increased recovery speed that we get both from just from the quality of it and from it being of rallying, and then Ashes of the Stars ramping that as well. Like, we get a really good amount of cooldown recovery and things, but yeah, it's still just kind of, you know, you gotta think about it sometimes. Like, if you're just standing there spamming it like this, like, it's not a full attack. Like, you'll run out of charges if you're just standing there spamming it like crazy. Yeah, I mean, like, damage-wise is really fine, honestly. Like, damage-wise is really not that bad. But it does feel like a case of, like, a build where it's like, I probably just threw a bunch of money at a problem, and that fixed it. Which could be a fun thing. Yeah, like I said, if you were really interested... I got stunned. If you were really interested, I would say probably do try General's Cry instead, honestly. I honestly think General's Cry would just be more fun. Would just be this, but even better. I'm not going to have a tree for that, though. I am far too lazy to set that up. But I can guarantee, though, that if you did something similar and used either attacked yourself and did, like, a slam or something, that it would be pretty good. I've killed a few bosses. I've killed a few bosses with this character. I've killed Maven. I've killed Shaper, Elder. Oh, I didn't realize the second boss. Sorry. I've killed Shaper, Elder. What else did I kill? I'll do it. I can't remember. I've killed a couple bosses in this character. I think one or two more from those I just listed off as well. But I've killed Maven and a couple others. Some of the the actual high tier pinnacles. I didn't feel like trying T17s on this character just because it's very strange in the sense of I'm really quite tanky, but I'm also super squishy at the same time. I feel like sometimes I just get randomly roasted, which I guess it's not too random. It's mostly Abyssus. Shout out to Abyssus. Like this one. It's mostly Abyssus that will kind of really get you killed. There's so many sources of fizz damage and not enough sources of fizz taken as. So yeah, it's kind of an awkward thing. But with that though, we'll go into the actual character still regardless. Like I said, not my favorite character that I've put together. A bit of a weird one, but I wanted to show it. So here we are. With that, we'll go over the gear really quick. Which is the biggest part. This was the most expensive piece. I think the base itself was 18 divines for the fractured T1 increased fizz damage, and then putting the craft for 41% of fizz as extra damage of each element is, I think, 4 power runes, which I got for 20 divines. So 38 divines literally just as a start. And then I also needed to I bought a crap load of essences of contempt and just spammed essence until it hit. Honestly, that's not even a good roll for the increased fizz and accuracy rating split, but I got super unlucky, I think. But I spent another 10 divines, I think, in total, buying contempt essences and just spamming it over and over again. And I still just got, I think I saw tier 4 one time. So I got pretty unlucky, I feel like. I was really trying for at least a tier 3, but by the time I had gone through the first set of 5 divines of contempts, and I was on to the second set, I was just like, okay, you know what? Whenever I get something that's above certain tier, I basically just made a cutoff point. I think it was when I was below 100 contempts. I was like, okay, whatever I get next, as long as it's above X, I will just use it. And that's where it landed. So we just have tier 5 here. So unlucky as it goes, but the craft and everything, very, very expensive. And like I said, I would highly recommend you do just a General's Cry version. But again, yeah, this is a huge damage weapon, a very, very big boy. Realistically, you can make it a lot better as well. If money is no object to you, you would just craft lock prefixes and then probably just put speed or crit on it, just do by using the harvest craft, or do a veiled orb maybe if you really wanted to. But I think you would just do harvest craft, try to get either speed or some actual crit on this guy, get some more crit multi, something along those lines. And you'd probably also spam, again, if money, you'd probably get luckier than me. If money's no object and you just keep spamming, you'll eventually hit a better fizz damage and accuracy rating roll that I had there, and you can get this weapon to be even larger. There are some other bases that are decent. I can't really remember the name of them. I think it's like Spine Crusher is another good one. That's I believe that's chance to deal double damage. There's a couple other bases that are still good. Nothing wrong with this base. Increased area damage is certainly nothing to sneeze at. Believe it or not, we are doing area damage. Yeah. And with that, so then we go just kind of into what we're actually using. So, of course, first from Legion of Rallying, which, again, we just want to scale the attack. The cast speed on it is fast enough as is. You really don't need to worry about the cast speed or anything like that. So don't think about it as a spell. Think of it purely as an attack. But then also remember that since you're not doing the damage yourself, things like Trinity and everything else will not apply to this. So we just want as much kind of flat increased damage, excuse me, as we can to this. So we have Consecrated Effect here, just, again, more area damage. We have increased critical strikes here, and that is specifically because we are an Inquisitor, and we are going with Inevitable Judgment. And then we have LE damage with attacks. This, obviously, just throw an Awakened LE damage with attacks on here if you have one. That's just more damage. But the reflected part of that actually doesn't matter very much. And then we have an Awakened melee fizz damage here. Of course, if this is level 5, then we'd be intimidating enemies, and that would deal even more damage there. And then we've got Pulverize, more area, less attack speed, more melee area damage as well. So again, just very, very good for our statue friends. Using an Abyssus, you could definitely replace this if you feel like this is just way too squishy and you don't like it. Then I would say just swap out Abyssus for something else. You can just put just a really thick helmet here, a really thick armor helmet, and swap out of Abyssus. We have just Leap Slam with faster attacks and Fortify. This is how we're actually able to get Fortify. You just have to remember, this is some old technology from way back, but since we actually deal a lot of damage with the hammer as a base, we actually will get 20 stacks of Fortify very consistently. So I would say if you're doing this, definitely take Leap Sam, just put Fortify support on it, because that is going to be your primary way to generate Fortify. That's some old technology right there before they changed how Fortify worked. But that does work out really well with this skill, actually. So use some Leap Slam, got faster attacks, Fortify. That is how you will get yourself some Fortify. Chest piece here, just a hunter-based chest piece. The Royal Plate, which is the new highest armor value chest piece. Just literally just spam this critical. Just spam crit over here until it hits something good. So here we just have a +% chance for crit, because of course as Inquisitor, again, we really care about our attacks critting, and that does still apply to this. And then just some resistances, some armor. Just crafted some life on it. Probably realistically, if I don't have an Exalted Orb, I could buy one, but meh, lazy. You could realistically buy one and then just slot it in and hope that you hit just more armor, honestly. Just get more armor, become thicker, winning. And then in here we just have our auras. So we got Hatred, Precision, Enlighten, Determination, and Herald of Purity. And then just a random little off socket there for nothing. And yeah, that is enough to sustain us as is. If you obviously had an light level 4, right. If you did swap out your Abyssus, then you would put some mana reservation efficiency on your helmet instead, I would imagine, just to kind of make any mana issues that you might be running into a little bit easier to bear. Relicash's Impatience, as it stands right now, these are pretty damn cheap. They've really gone down in price, but remember, we don't have move speed on these, so we're pretty slow overall. That is why I recommend faster attacks on Leap Slam, and also still using Frost Blink or something, just for the sake of having it. But Relicash's Impatience, really good. And we just have Frostblink and Assassin's Mark. We do have to self-cast Assassin's Mark. Unless you want to put it... You could put it on Mark on hit, if you wanted to try to remember to Leap Slam on any rare targets or anything that you're going against. You could reasonably do that. I just kind of felt like, I'll just honestly self-cast it at that point. It doesn't matter that much. And then we got some gloves over here. Accuracy is a really hard thing to hit on this build, honestly. Like, you are gonna have to really try for accuracy. So, highly recommend getting some gloves with some accuracy. We got some we got some resistances, life, armor, pretty standard stuff. In it, we got automation with this is Molten Shell, and then more duration. And you could also put a life tap in here if you don't have enough mana. I do have enough mana, I believe, right now. Last I looked. Yeah, I do have enough mana as it is right now. Not that big of a deal. And then in our belt here, again, life, resistances, all that good stuff. Don't mind the attribute modifications. I was using this belt for a different build. And then, of course, just more accuracy, life, resistances, attacks, just damage. Generally good stuff here on this Murderous Idol. And then, yeah, and then in our actual setup, Taste of Hate, still really good for this build, because Fizz as extra cold is extremely good, because all that Frozen Legion does is convert 100% of Fizz damage to cold. So Taste of Hate just gets to really double dip and benefit us there. Obviously, get a 15% roll or something better. I just had this one lying around, and I just didn't feel like going out of my way to get something else. So Taste of Hate really good. Bottle of Faith, not completely necessary, but again, extremely good if you are able to get one. But these are, again, like 6 divines still right now. Bottle of Faith still an incredibly good item. Per usual, Quicksilver, Granite Flask, and then just a flask for bleeding and all that kind of good stuff. Probably get a bubbling one just to make it an instant life flask as well. I have been really unlucky trying to roll one of those, so I do not have it. Ring-wise, I just realized I forgot to go over these. Ring-wise, really quick. Again, accuracy, life, resistances, all good things. That's what we want. Amethyst Ring is ideal. And then Circle of Guilt over here. This just gives us more increased Fizz and Fizz damage reduction while we're affected by Herald of Purity. We are using Herald of Purity, so this is a very good thing. If you can find one that has a corrupted plus all elemental resistances as well, cool. And then I was just spamming this with random tainted catalysts that I had and did not get lucky. And then Ashes of the Stars. Ashes of the Stars here. Allocating Blacksmith's clout for us, but also just the plus level and the quality is really good for Frozen Legion. And yeah, I think with that, we're kind of... That's all the gear there. Looking pretty good, but yeah, this character is very interesting. Oh, I do want to note one thing before I go into the tree, is again, positioning-wise, you have to be very careful with positioning. Positioning is very specific, because if you're too close to something, your statues will not always come out. Like, for example, right there, that was 4 statues. That's still 4 statues. 4 statues. Because I'm too close to something. Like, I'm too close to the wall here, or I'm too close to the NPC, so it can't summon them upon things. So you have to kind of think about your positioning. Otherwise, you aren't going to get all of your statues out to swing at something. And you want to try to get... Basically want to try to get them positioned to where there's as much overlap as possible. Especially on a boss target. You just want to have as much overlap as you can. Really just kind of stand there and try to position yourself so where you're getting maximum value, getting all of your statues out, and actually able to use all of your charges whenever you're fighting a big target. With that, though, we can roll into the tree. So, like I said, we're running as Inquisitor. So we have Righteous Providence and Inevitable Judgment, because, of course, crit good, and then just ignoring elemental resistances is always a really good thing. Sanctuary, Pious Path, pretty standard stuff for Inquisitor, honestly. Nothing crazy there. That is what we're going with. And then tree-wise, so something that is really interesting, actually, with this build, that's pretty cool, is we don't care about attack speed. If you go with, like I said, if you're doing this as Frozen Legion, we don't care about attack speed at all, basically. Because the statues are doing for us. If you do get more attack speed, the statues will swing faster, but it doesn't necessarily matter that much. Like, they kind of swing fast enough as is, I feel like, to where it doesn't matter. So we can actually take this mastery, Mace Mastery, for a chance to deal double damage with attacks if attack time is longer than 1 second. And our attack time right now actually is longer than 1 second. You can see over here on Frozen Sweep here, which is the name of the thing, our attacks per second is 0.98. So they actually are getting the effect of the additional chance to deal double damage right there, because it's taking them longer than 1 second to swing by just barely enough. So you can kind of try to really balance. I actually kind of liked having that in this build, having the balance of like, ooh, if I'm careful with this, then I can get I can keep them at like just below 1 second and still get the benefit from it. And so with that, we have a relatively standard tree here. Obviously, again, accuracy here, accuracy here. We're allocating less blacksmiths. Taking life, taking tireless. Fizz as extra is incredibly good, so we're getting some up here on the tree, and we're taking Divine Judgment while we're there. Just, realistically, if you put more time into this character, or actually, basically, I just couldn't buy one, nobody would respond to me, and it was driving me crazy, so I just gave up. But you'd want to put a Lethal Pride here. You just move this jewel either to like here, or just, you might not even need this jewel in general, honestly, but you just put a Lethal Pride here that actually matches. Lethal Pride here is a really good hit because it'll hit Devotion, it'll hit Divine, Divine Fury, Divine Wrath, and these two over here. So it's actually a ton of hits that you would get from a Lethal Pride right there. So that's what I'd recommend as far as that goes. But again, I couldn't get anybody to respond, and it was driving me up a wall. And then what we have over here, we have good old Light of Meaning. So Light of Meaning is something that drops from King in the Mists. This is the new Prismatic Jewel. So passive skills and radius also grant 6% increased physical damage. Again, since we convert all of it, we want to try to stack, honestly, as much phys damage as we possibly can. So this positioning right here, really good. Gives all of the small nodes as well. All of the small nodes as well also get hit with the 6% increased phys damage. So we're taking a ton of nodes around here just to kind of get it. I don't think this really matters that much, so we're not taking Righteous Providence. And then over here, Constitution, of course. And we're also taking an Unnatural Instinct. Coming up here, we're having some Unnatural Instinct. This, again, gives us even more phys damage here. Gives us some regens, some other stuff, just some other kind of random things. We do get a little bit of cast speed here, actually, just from this kind of wheel and everything. We get some mana regen, which is nice, some increased AoE. So, like, Unnatural Instinct in this slot right here actually gives us a lot of good benefits for this build. These nodes here don't matter whatsoever, but the rest of these nodes are actually really, really nice for this character. And then we're just using a Cluster Jewel here with, again, it's a physical damage one, so using Battle Hardened, Fierce Assault, and Iron Breaker. So we've got Iron Breaker, Battle Hardened, Fierce Assault. And I think, I never remember if you can actually roll 2 suffix modifiers as notables. I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can. I don't know. I can't remember for sure. Anyway, so if you can, then you would put Force Multiplier instead of Iron Breaker here. That would be even more ideal. Force Multiplier gives you added fizz and chance to deal double damage. So that's what I'd recommend there. We got a couple just generic crit jewels here. Quick Getaway, Basics of Pain, Pressure Points, Magnifier. Just very generic stuff. Quick Getaway will actually feel nice because, again, we don't have any movement speed, so your movement speed literally comes down to Quicksilvers and whenever we crit, which is only 5%. But it's better than nothing. And then otherwise, just some good tank stuff. We got some Nomadic Teachings here for more resistances, some crit nodes, all that kind of good stuff. We're taking, if I was to level up again, I would take another Endurance Charge right here. In fact, I think most of the rest of my points for leveling up would pretty much just go purely into tankiness. You would actually take the Armor Mastery for 1 all max res if everything has armor. Everything does have armor on this build. Unless you did go Corpse Walker, in which case you wouldn't be able to take that. If you went Corpse Walker General's Cry, you wouldn't be able to take that, but that's fine. And then you just take you know, more endurance charges. Maybe you could take Skull Cracking. Take Sanctum of Thought if you want, or Faith and Steel up here. We actually don't care about Galvanic Hammer. Galvanic Hammer is nice because of the accuracy. Like, Galvanic Hammer is okay, but it kind of gives us Elemental Penetration, which Elemental Penetration does nothing for us. So that's why Pain Forger is more what I've been going with as far as that goes. I think the attack speed will actually be too fast. Yeah, I remember looking this up. If the way that I have it set right now, it is exact. If I took Retribution, I would actually go to a little bit over 1 attack per second. So that's why I have not opted to go up there. But you could take more life here, or go elemental damage and then take Amplify. That would also not be a bad idea. But yeah, I think that's the tree. That is pretty much this character in a nutshell. Like I said, a very interesting character. I don't know how much I really recommend running this build, but it is like, if it's something that you're just like, I kind of do something weird, then, you know, here you go. Or like I said, just do General's Cry with something. I believe that would be a very fun alternative way for this build to go, and would still be built exactly the same as it is right now. You would just want to take potentially some Warcry nodes. Like, we're right next to Deep Breaths, so you'd potentially just take like Warcry, like Deep Breaths, and then maybe something else. But either way, that's all I have with this character. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed. like I said, very interesting, very interesting, very weird, and takes some time to get used to. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you've been having fun with Settlers of Calgur. I have another couple builds in the pipeline that I'm sort of planning and getting ready for. Yeah, I had a lot of fun still making this character regardless. I'm still having a ton of fun in Settlers, and I probably will just... This might literally be one of the leagues where I'm actually just playing all the way through the entire time, because it has just been such a fun time, and I feel like anytime I get off the game, I find myself just staring back at my Steam library, and I'm like, but I could be doing more Path of Exile stuff. So, who knows, I will probably end up playing this a whole lot more, and I might just have some more builds coming down the pipeline, because, yeah, it's been too much fun. With that, YouTube, hope you're having a good time, hope you're enjoying some more Path of Exile, and I'll be back in the future. Take it easy. Bye now.